Hi, my name is Aldo Filippelli. I am the CEO of Luxury Audio Group. We are a company that represents and promotes different high-end brands of audio, including brands like Estelon, Vitas Audio, Crystal Cable, Acoustic, and Neo High-End, covering every aspect of speakers, electronics, cabling, room acoustics, and racks.
Aldo, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of the Estelon speaker brand, if you would, please?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. Um, Overture is an outstanding business, by the way. I've worked with you guys over many years. It's a pleasure, so thank you. Estelon started in 2010. Alfred Veselikov was a speaker designer for almost 30 years prior, working for various other speaker companies in design. He has a PhD in acoustics, and he's used acoustical design in the development of loudspeakers to help overcome the deficiency and the problems that people have in placing speakers in their living environment. It's one thing to have a dedicated sound room, it's quite another to have a normal living environment and still want to have high performance sound. The company over the last 14 years has done quite an extraordinary job. Alfred and his two daughters run the company. In fact, his daughter Alyssa is the CEO, and she runs the business and the marketing side of the company. And if you notice with Estelon, it also seems like in some ways there's a woman's touch. It was never meant to be such, but it's born out of design because they wanted to have it look more elegant. They wanted to have it look sexy, attractive, smooth lines, very high quality finish. So every aspect of what they do, how they do it, is on a very high luxury level. So if we look at the different models, they range in price from $20,000 a pair on up to $270,000 a pair. The three models that you have kind of fall in the middle of that range, but are some of the more popular models in the brand. Over the years, those models, with the exception of the Aura that you've brought in, the Forza, the X Diamond, are some of the most award-winning speakers in the audio industry in the last 14 years. So if you look at the history of the company, not only have they been very focused and dedicated on what they design and build, but they've sort of turned the industry on its ear by making some of the most incredible statement level musical instruments. When we were talking a little bit in the past about the concept of the company and the materials, the cabinets are all marble. They're all made out of a crushed marble that's mixed with a proprietary blend of other materials, including an epoxy, at a very high temperature poured into an injection mold. So they could create any shape that they want. But more importantly, they could also control the density. So at certain points of the cabinet, they could have a much thicker base and thicker walls where they could have less resonance, greater density. And this is a big attribute to the performance of the product because it then removes all of the distortions and resonances out of the cabinet so that you hear more of what the speaker's capability is on an engineered level.
If you could just tell us a little bit more about some of the technology and the drivers that go into the speaker line, that would be great.
Well, I'll add to that by also talking about the placement of the drivers in the cabinet. It's all purposeful. They're specifically putting drivers in places where they're going to have the more natural phase response with the human ear. So by the time all of the information arrives at your ears, you're getting less interaction from the acoustics of the room, a more natural, homogeneous sound field coming from the speaker and in proper timing. When that's done, you end up with this very transparent, very almost holographic soundstage where the speakers just disappear. And that's pretty much in every model that they make. But if you notice on the cabinet has very unique curves and shapes. So they want to have not only non-parallel walls on the outside and on the inside of the cabinet, but the physical shape is controlling the actual radiation of energy coming from the speaker. So you may notice if you are listening to music and you get up and you walk around the room, from one side of the room to the other, it is very linear in its tonal balance and strong presentation at soundstage, unlike other speakers where you have this very narrow sweet spot, right, where you almost have to sit here and you can't really move.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
It is very, very unique in that regard, but that's why they look the way they do. So a lot of people think, oh, they just want to make a cool looking speaker with cool curves. Well, no, it's all based on engineering. But then they also want top quality drivers. So on this particular model and in most of the models in the range of the X series to the flagship models, in fact, all of the models, they rely on Accutin from Germany as their supplier of drivers. Each of the drivers is design specific for a given model for Estelon. Some of them are proprietary, only available to Estelon.
Okay.
So they're using ceramic cone woofer, ceramic cone mid-range on the speaker, very high quality. And then they're using a diamond tweeter. The diamond tweeter is quite unique. So they take a 2-micron thick aluminum dome that would be the dome that the sound emanates from.
Mm-hmm.
And 2-micron thick is so thin, if you blow on it, you'd bend it. So what they do is they take a 1 1/4 carat to 1.5 carat of crushed diamond powder, place it onto the dome. It sits in a sealed chamber with a gas vapor injected into the chamber 24 hours a day for 8 weeks. At the end of this period, that diamond has completely, essentially melted and fused into the aluminum to create one body material that is a ultra hard, ultra lightweight dome that transients are so very fast, but it's also so low in distortion. It's really kind of next level when it comes down to speaker design, as far as the quality of the cabinet, the quality of the drivers. They take it even more, or even further, when you look into the inside of the cabinet, how they have independent chambers for every driver. There's a separate enclosure for the crossover. Everything is isolated from one another. Then all of the wiring internally is with Kubala Sosna cabling, which is a very high-end grade of a cable from a premier brand. And they cut no corners on their crossovers. Now, some companies brag about how they use the most expensive caps and inductors and resistors. Estelon uses the Mundorf oil-filled capacitors. They're gold level, which each cap is astronomically expensive, but they're the best sounding caps in the world. They use resistors from Delund. They use custom foil inductors that are made in-house by them to their specification. All top-notch. They cut no corners. So it really is a company that takes their product very, very seriously.
Great. And if you could just tell us a little bit about the three lines, three different pairs of speakers that we have here for our customers to come listen to, the Forza, the X Diamond, and the new Aura speaker. That would be great.
So the Forza is one of the flagship series. It is a 4-way design. It has dual 11-inch dome woofers that are very high velocity, high excursion, low distortion woofers that are on an angle on the front of the baffle down low. The purpose of that is that the energy that they radiate will radiate off the sidewalls and also merge into the middle of the room. So you're actually getting a lot of acoustic gain in the middle of the room, right at your seated position with this particular concept of a design. Then they have a similar constructed woofer of an 8-inch woofer at the top of the cabinet. But I think the magic is also the mid-range. They have a mid-range driver of a custom engineered 7-inch mid-range ceramic cone driver with a 5-inch diameter voice coil using a dual neodymium magnet. The whole purpose of that is to have it be so fast and so very low in distortion. It's actually lower in distortion than any ribbon, tweeter, or mid-range. So it's getting this explosive amount of energy, but very, very fast transients. When you listen to vocals, piano, string, it has an eerie it's like the hair standing on the back of your neck type of experience that you get if you listen to the piano and the attack of the transients of the hammers hitting the strings. It's very, very natural, very dynamic sound. And then it uses the diamond tweeter that is being used on the X Diamond. That speaker retails for starting at $170,000 a pair on up based on finish. Then you have this lovely speaker here, the X Diamond, which is the next model down. This is a three-way design with an 11-inch ceramic woofer with a 7-inch ceramic mid-range, not the same as what's in the upper model. Mm-hmm. And then it has the exact diamond tweeter that's in the Forza. A very elegant, simple three-way design. Big sound from a more modest package. And these retail starting at $89,000 a pair. I believe in this finish, they're about $91,000, almost $92,000 a pair.
Okay.
Then the other model you have, which is a relatively new model for Estelon, it came out a year ago, called the Aura. The Aura uses a different level of technology. It's a $20,000 a pair retail floor standing speaker that's full range. In order to do that, there were some compromises that needed to happen. So instead of using a marble composite cabinet that is injection molded, they went to a methacrylate cabinet, which is the same type of material that's used in Corian. Okay. So imagine a Corian countertop. It's a plastic. Under heat, it could be thermoformed and shaped. So they were able to create these very sexy, elegant tower speakers by thermoforming that material. Much less expensive than the marble, but it has a similar property in reducing distortion and resonance. So still an excellent material. Mm-hmm. Then they went to ScanSpeak for the drivers. They have a ScanSpeak tweeter, a soft dome, part of the Illuminator series. They're using a paper cone pulp sandwich mid-range, and then they're using a paper cone pulp sandwich woofer downfiring on the speaker. It's a 10-inch woofer that downfires. You get this sound that is very big, wide, and deep, similar in transparency to the rest of the products. So there is a bit of a family character in that regard, but at a $20,000 price point that you could even drive with an affordable receiver.
Yeah, that's a tremendous amount of speaker and technology for a speaker at that price point. So, well, thank you very much for visiting us here at Overture.
You're very welcome.
For all the information about the speaker line, and for our training session, and for spending this time with us to tell us more about the Estelon speakers.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thank you so much. We do have a website where you could see the products of all the brands that we represent, including Estelon. It is www.luxuryaudiogroup.com. And there are links that will then take you to the manufacturer's websites for more information. You will also find our Instagram account and our Facebook account attached on the Contact Us page, and we look forward to hearing from you.